controversial.
Like,
why?
Why?
What is this book about?
Today we are going to start on a journey, if you will, because it's been a little bit of a journey to get an extra copy of this book, and that is The Fourth Wing. Now, I want to implore you, if you see this book in your Barnes & Noble, in your Walmart, which is where I actually got mine, in your Target, wherever, pick it up because these are becoming very hard to come by. So much so that we looked it up on Pango last night and they were selling them for like
$90.
Yeah, $60 to $90. And I was like, what is happening? Amazon is even sold out. They're not restocking till like mid-June to mid-July is what it says. It just gives like a month range. Anyways, we got a second copy from our On Post library, and so we are going to be starting tonight by reading just the first chapter because it's already very late.
10:30.
It's very late. And we have to get up early, so we thought we would start by reading the first chapter and giving some initial thoughts. If you haven't heard of this book, basically all we know is that everyone and their mother is raving about it. It's already being talked about as potentially like the fantasy book of the year.
Wow.
And it follows a young girl named Violet who is growing up and thinking that her life is just going to be spent like being a scribe, being in like books and libraries, or I don't know, that's like her path. But her mother is, I think, the general of the army that is the Dragon Riders. And her mom basically decides for her that she's not going to be a scribe, that instead she's going to be a dragon rider. She's going to become a soldier. Basically, her mom's like wanting to use her and her to be part of her
This already
army.
Feels like Helene's like backstory.
Yeah.
From An Ember in the Ashes.
But it's not Helene's mom.
I know, but I mean like just the vibes.
Okay, like the war vibes.
The war, like, college vibes.
It's set in a war college, so, yeah. So she's a student at this war college thinking, like, she's going to be studying to be a scribe, but her mom has other plans for her and kind of, like, redirects her path to be more of a soldier and a dragon rider in this dragon army. And it seems, based on just the little snippet in the cover, that there is like impending war, there is corrupt leadership, so
like every good fantasy.
Yeah, I'm here for it. The political, like, I like the politics coming into play.
Political intrigue.
Yeah, but like the corruption and like
Mom likes a good mafia vibe.
Yeah. Unveiling the corruption, like justice for the corruption. That's what I like to see, you know? There must be justice at all costs, you know? Anyways, we're going to dive into the first chapter of The Fourth Wing. Or not The Fourth Wing, just Fourth Wing. Special break-in. I just wanted to show you. Okay, not just the cover. The cover is exquisite, but these edges with the dragons. This is, in the book it says this is the first edition, and it's making me wonder if the editions to follow are not going to have these sprayed edges. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. But also, we love a good map. You know?
You know what we don't love?
What?
A boring, naked hardcover.
Which, yeah.
I don't understand. I thought they were going all out.
Also, something else that is interesting about this book is it has not just a map of like the world, but also of this war college that the story starts
there you go.
in. So that's pretty cool. Helps you visualize, you know, when they're talking about different places. You have a point of reference. And I don't know about you, but like I need all the points of references I can get for fantasy books. Every little bit helps. Okay, now to our reading. Okay, so we're here with our first check-in for the fourth wing. Not the fourth wing. Fourth wing. Just fourth wing. And we're on
the same chapter.
We're on chapter 11, so a little over 100 pages in. And we're just going to give some initial quick thoughts. You go first.
Okay, well, I feel like we have all the same thoughts. I don't hate it by any means. But I'm waiting, you know?
Waiting for the
big moment where I'm like, yes, this is so
worth the hype.
Good. I'm so glad I searched high and low for this book. Because, I mean, as someone who just reads lots of fantasy, I guess I had too high of expectations. And maybe this is something for newer fantasy readers, and that's fine. I just am a little disappointed.
Okay, so I'll say there are a couple of things that bother me about this book. And one of the main things is the lack of details and the lack of explanation for things. But also, this book is set at a military college. And I feel like if you're at a military college full of this country's top military professors who specialize in like military intelligence, military strategy, like some of these things that happen in this book, I'm like, that wouldn't happen because they would be able to see right through some of the like deceit that our main character is trying to execute. I can't really go into detail without spoiling it, but that's like really rubbing me the wrong way right now, and that's my biggest kind of like ick. But I will say this book very much reminds me of a lot of other books, to include Divergent, Ember in the Ashes, Hunger Games, ACOTAR potentially. I haven't fully read the ACOTAR series, but I do know about the two main characters and what occurs between the main female character and them, and I feel like that is already like I'm predicting that's what's gonna happen in this book. Like she's gonna, and this isn't a spoiler because I don't know if this happens or not, but I'm predicting that she's going to start out with like the familiar, comfortable, safe boy and then end up with like the bad boy. So maybe I'm wrong, but I'm predicting that's what's gonna happen. So yeah, I'm just like, there's a lot of things I would like to know more about. Like, tell me more about this military college. Tell me more about, like, the professors that work there. Tell me more about the classes you take there.
Even the dragons. Like, I feel like I know what they're called.
And their color.
But why do they use them? What are they protecting themselves from? Besides other countries.
Yeah, I don't really know, like, what the point of this war college is. Like, obviously it's to raise up dragon riders, but like why why do we need dragon riders? Like what's their goal?
I feel like there's not even telling instead of showing. There's neither of those things. Like I don't have a picture in my head beyond what the map shows.
Yeah, like we were talking about like at the very beginning, so like the students who want to go to this war college to be the dragon riders, they have to cross this parapet. Is that what it's called? Mm-hmm. And we're like, what is that? Like, what is that supposed to look like? Even the, like, lack of detail in explaining that, it was just that it's, like, tall. And if you fall, you would die. Because it's, like, 200 feet tall and that's it. Like, that doesn't give me a visual. I don't know. I just need more details. More details. And more explanation.
It has, like, a great backbone.
And it's easy to follow, for sure. Like, so
I just want more of it. And I don't think that's a bad thing.
It's just, it's very interesting to me that this is considered adult fantasy, because I feel like there's a lot of young adult fantasy books I've read that has, like, bigger world building, more politics explained, but maybe that just hasn't come into the picture yet. So it is easy to follow in that sense. So if that's something that you are looking for, don't be intimidated by this, because it's not intimidating at all. It's very easy to follow. The dialogue kind of bothers me because some of the things the main character says seems a little too modern or like just present day language that I feel like, I don't know. But maybe that's just me. Maybe that's a me problem. Anyways, we'll check back in when we read about 100 more pages. Maybe.
See how drastic our feelings have changed.
Yeah. Hopefully. Hi. We're checking in on our 4th wing buddy read. We are going to be very still because my phone is being held up by a hotel ice bucket, a stack of books, and a water bottle.
Don't forget my Kindle.
Yes. And if we move the bed, it's going to knock this all down. So we're going to be quick and we're going to be very still. So now we are on, well, I'm on page 230.
I'm on 269, which is chapter 22.
And I will have to say this book is redeeming itself for me.
To an
extent.
Yeah.
It's much, this portion from when we last checked in is definitely better than the first, like, 100 some pages. And mainly it's because you're just, like, more invested in what is happening. Like, there's stuff happening that makes you actually want the character to succeed now. There's been a lot of growth. And some of the characters that you don't like potentially were eliminated by one means or another. And there's been more dragon content. And that's the main reason this portion has redeemed itself
I
for
think
me anyways.
Something I didn't initially realize reading it because it wasn't clear is the timeline was so weird. Like, it'd be like, I've been here for 2 months, and then, like, the chapter before, you had been here for a week. And it jumped around a lot. Now we're, like, day to day.
Yeah.
And I feel like if that would have been more clear, it would have made more sense for why there was less detail. But it was like you didn't realize it until they were talking about things that happened that you weren't told about.
Yeah. I feel like the main character, the thing I like about her is she's not, like, embarrassed by her weaknesses. Like, she's getting to a point where she's learning to work with what she has and, like, manipulating her world to bend to her weaknesses or to, like, be creative in the way that she overcomes them. Like, she knows that she's small or that she's short. I'm both. So she, like, finds creative ways to make things work for her because she is. So I find that to be, like, admirable about her. And she also strives to be perceived as strong, and I admire that about her too. Like, she will go out of her way to keep herself from appearing weak to her peers, and like, even though she might even have like the opportunity to do things the easy way, or to like get healed instead of allowing her body to heal on its own, she does what is going to make her look stronger. So I think that's pretty cool. One thing that is still bugging me about this is, we talked about this earlier in the car, I feel like this book, you know, is labeled as adult, and to me the only thing so far that's like made it adult is not the world building, is not the level of fantasy that it is, but it's just the language and the repetitive use of the F word, and I really don't like that, and I find it to be completely unnecessary. It's not like adding to the story, it's not like even adding to the dialogue, it's just like, let's see how many times we can throw this in here, and it's just getting on my nerves. So yeah. I will say, like, I'm liking it more than I was, but I'm still not loving it.
Yeah. Sums it up.
Okay. So we'll check in the next go around. 100 pages ish. We're back, and we're done with the book. So we didn't have a final check-in exactly. But honestly, I was hoping this book would have a redemptive moment for me, that I would get to a point in the story where I'm like, okay, I get it. Like, I totally get it. It's worth the hype. And that never happened.
Still waiting.
So, no, this book is not worth the hype, in our opinion anyways. And no, it did not have a redemptive moment. What are your thoughts?
It wasn't a bad book. It was a bad book for the way it was marketed, which I feel is kind of similar to what happened with Lightlark and that whole situation. It's like, this is an adult fantasy novel, enemies to lovers, dragons, war college. And it was like a low budget movie version of that.
Or like a made for TV movie.
Yeah. It was just disappointing.
Yeah, I had like really high expectations for the war college aspect too, because I was reading about the author in the back of the book, and her husband is in the military, which I obviously was drawn to because I'm like a military spouse too. So I was like, so she's gonna maybe know a thing or two about the military and war, and there is such thing as a war college. So I just would have really liked to see that be developed more and explained in more detail, like the ins and outs of the way that the war college operated. There was little to none of that. I don't know.
One thing I always like immediately give everyone the benefit of the doubt, and I'm like, how much time did you have to write this, and did they rush you, and how good could it have been if it, like, you know, settled for years? That's just what I immediately think every time I don't like a book. I'm like, if they would have spent another year on it, how much better would it have been?
Yeah. Another thing that we both talked about, so in my mind and in my expectations at least, like when a book is fantasy to me, there's not going to be like modern day language thrown in or like phrases. And that really bothered me because you're imagining what this place looks like, and then they're like, he was hot. Hotter than hot. Like, that kind of thing, and it just kind of brings down the tone of the book. It makes it, like, underwhelming, I guess. Yeah. Like, you couldn't be more creative in even, like, those easy descriptions. I don't know. I also did not like... I knew that this book was going to have spice, which is fine because you can skip over that usually. But it became hard to know when to skip over things because they intertwined their spice talk throughout their, like, everyday conversations, too. So I didn't like that, and I was like,
It was not even, like, you were like, oh, that was sweet.
Or romantic.
It was like that's cringy. What bad story is this?
There was a lot of cringy moments, for sure. In my opinion.
I was watching Rachel Catherine Haley Fam's videos, and Rachel said, like, I loved it. I hated the romance. She was like, if they would have completely removed the romance, I would have liked it so much more. It wasn't believable. I liked the characters, but I didn't believe they even had feelings for each other at all.
Something else, too, like, I found myself more, like, gravitating towards wanting to hear more about the side characters than the main characters. Like, there was a lot of good side characters. And I also, another thing I would have liked to know more about is the dragons themselves, like...
The history.
Yeah, the history, like, how did they get in a situation where they bond with humans? Like, what started all of that?
They also would always address, like, before we were connected with humans. I'm like, well, what was the before?
Yeah. What led up to
that? And I don't even know, still, what is the plot?
Yeah.
Like, what is our big problem that we even need a war college?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Also, like, there's hintings in the book that there are some, what would you call it?
Rebels?
There's, like, some political deceit going on. Like, maybe things aren't as they appear to be. There's, like... some secrets being hidden from the general public, like that kind of thing. But it's like everything is just alluded. Seems based on just the little snippet in the cover that there is like impending war, there is corrupt leadership into it, and you kind of just have to like make up your own mind because nothing's really explained. Again, like details are just...
They're not there.
They're, like, just totally absent from this story. So, I also would have liked to know more about the relationship between her and her mom. Like, that was
they acted like it was a huge deal in, like, the first few chapters. And there was some, like, mystery there. And
yeah, like, why does her mom treat her, like... less than her sister? Like, I don't know. There's just so many things that don't add up.
It had so many cool aspects. And literally the only problem with this book is there is not enough information.
Yeah.
Like, if you told me this was a YA book, I'd be like, okay, you know.
But it's marketed
as... It's a decent YA book.
As, like...
adult.
New adult.
Yeah.
And it's not. Like, the dialogue, I've read countless YA books that have a better dialogue, better world building, a better plot.
I haven't even read Twilight, but it was giving Twilight.
Yeah.
The dialogue, like, their inner dialogue specifically, I was like, oh my gosh,
also,
this is embarrassing.
like, something else that's alluded to is that the main character has some kind of, like, long-going medical issue. Like,
she's chronically ill.
Yeah, she's chronically ill, but you don't know if, like, she was born with this illness or, like, if something happened that made her this way. Like, again, it's just, like, she has weak bones. That's all you know. Like, she's used to breaking her bones or used to, like, being in a position where she's weak. Like, that's all you really know. So, I don't know. I mean, I will read the second book because...
The end.
The ending of this book was a major cliffhanger. Like, literally the last sentence was a cliffhanger.
10 out of 10 marketing, for sure.
And I think I read that the author has already agreed to Right.
It comes out this year.
Yeah, but I think there's going to be 5 more, or 5 total maybe. I don't know if it's 5 more or 5 total. Yeah, but yeah, the second book already comes out this November or October, I think. So I'll definitely read it. I'll definitely pick it up right when it comes out because apparently it's going to sell out everywhere. I hope that there's sprayed edges with dragons again because it looks cool on my shelf. But overall, it was just underwhelming. It was mid. It was fine. Like, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. It was okay.
Something else, I'm just quoting everyone. Carrie Can Read made a video about this book as well and was like, it's giving Kindle Unlimited fantasy. Like,
yeah.
It gives you what you need in the moment, but you don't think about it later.
Yeah.
And that's
the only
what
thing I've thought about was the dragons. Like, I would just like to know more about the dragons, honestly. Anyways, those are our thoughts on not the Fourth Wing.
Fourth Wing.
I have nothing else to say. That's all.
We thrive and strive to be controversial. You're welcome.
I wanted to love it. I wanted
did too.
to love it.
I'm very sad. Very sad. Anyways, until next time.
Bye-bye.